This is Wandering Scholar speaking, and welcome to Abu Dhabi. Good morning from a scorchingly hot Abu Dhabi International Airport. Today I am flying on board Etihad First Class to London Heathrow. Having walked myself from curbside to the private first class check-in area at the end of the terminal, I was slightly frustrated at the lack of bellman. The check-in process was not as polished as my experience with Qatar's first class at Doha, and ouch, that was a £70 bag I had to lift. Fortunately, I didn't have to spend any more than necessary at this rather inhospitable check-in area before I was issued my boarding pass as I proceeded toward the private security, beyond which takes me to the airside, furnished mostly with retail shops. Due to religious reasons, videography in public is strictly prohibited in UAE, and this was enforced by armed police officers who are not going to negotiate with you. There is not much to see in this dilapidated terminal, and the government doesn't want you to see their country in a sad state like this either. So let's now retreat into the lounge, where hopefully photography can be conducted on a case-by-case basis. Etihad Airways operates a separate lounge for first class residents and platinum elites. This space can be accessed by an elevator that takes you to a level above the terminal, both literally and figuratively. Upon entry, I was immediately greeted by a very friendly Nepali waiter, Ashok, who insisted to take me on a tour. Right. Self-serve, yeah. Okay. Yep. Ah. It is worth noting that Etihad has a lounge within the lounge concept at their Abu Dhabi First Class Lounge, primarily due to the existence of the residents before the pandemic grounded the airline's A380 fleet. Of course, a cigar room or two is a travel necessity for the plutocrats in the Middle East. And the very friendly Ashok even offered me a free cohiba, which is otherwise sold at the following price. Now that we've seen the general facilities of the lounge, it is that time again when we take a seat and allow the orchestra to begin. Dining is the highlight at Etihad's First Class Lounge. Dozens of tables adorned with white tablecloth takes over a third of the lounge's footprint, and they are paired with equally presentable gourmet. Cheers to a great flight ahead. The very passionate Ashok offered to create his signature cocktails for me this morning, and the green pepper inside this cocktail surely wakes me up for good at 11 AM.
It's not that heavy, so I just ordered one for you. Give it a try.
That was no doubt my most memorable airport dining experience this year so far. An abundance of fine grape juice and delectable food is indeed the only way to travel in first class. Shortly thereafter, it was quickly approaching boarding, which starts an hour before departure for UK and US bound flights due to secondary security. The Etihad First Class Lounge was simply phenomenal, and my experience was perfected with an incredibly professional and passionate team of lounge attendants who literally qualifies as the resident butler. The only drawback, if I have to say, is the lack of a private transport to the boarding gate, which is a common fault for most first-class products nowadays. Thankfully, the old terminal at Abu Dhabi is very compact, and I arrived at the gate just on time to pre-board the aircraft.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sorry for coming a little bit early. Very well. Thank you. See you Alpha.
Etihad installed 8 first-class suites on some of their 787-9 aircrafts, and these seats are in a unique layout with the window side seats facing each other as row 1 is in reverse position. The seat is embellished in the same leather you would find on Etihad's other aircraft featuring first class, and the Arabic geometry on the privacy wall really engenders a sense of understated luxury. I have chosen 2 Alpha on today's flight, which ends up having 5 out of 8 first-class seats being occupied. Seat control system is intuitive to use and overall well maintained. The relatively high wall to the suite offers optimal privacy and avoids any unnecessary contact with fellow first-class wankers, which there was one seated in front of me.
What I love about this champagne, it has this salmon intense medium color, so it's amazing.
You know you are in good hands when you have a French-speaking cabin crew knowledgeable about wines.
Please enjoy your champagne. Thank you very much.
Having just about digested the 4-course meal I had at the lounge, I was eager to check out the F&B agenda on board. And to my surprise, a 2002 vintage champagne was served, which is the oldest I've ever seen on any commercial airliners.
For redeem the card last, and if you need anything on today.
Sure, yes. I was just reading about that.
Caribbean style, you know.
Right, okay.
I gave you earlier. I would like to change with a small bag inside.
And a sneak peek into the business class mini cabin just before pushback. This configuration has been around for many years now, and the window side seat remains my favourite for the added privacy.
To adjust, pull on the strap. To unfasten, lift the metal flap and pull the belt apart. وراء على متن هذه الطائرة تحمل جميعها علامات مضيئة لإخلاء الطائرة. اتركوا جميع أمتعتكم خلفكم.
Following our takeoff to the west, we overflew the Ferrari park located just outside of the airport, and we're soon on our way to London via the Persian Gulf. This 7-hour daytime flight features a lunch service after takeoff and a la carte dining for the rest of the flight. This must be the first time when I can't manage to finish the dessert course on an airplane, but I of course requested it to be reserved before landing instead. In the meantime, it is imperative to enjoy the comfiest bed on this Boeing 787 as I doze off for the next few hours, so I'll be fully charged once we land in London. As the electrochromatic window on the Dreamliner clears up, it is a time to enjoy the gorgeous cabin for the very few hours that remain of the flight. The amenity kit is always something I would bring with me as a souvenir, and the Aqua di Parma branded amenity on Etihad is definitely one of the more polished and ostensibly expensive kits I have seen in a very long time. There is nothing better to do than eat and sleep on long-haul first-class flights, and the F&B selection on Etihad makes this an even more convincing statement. I hope I'm not the first here to learn that Cipriani invented Bellini. Flying on a daytime flight not only provides perfect ambiance for cabin shots, but it also reminds me of the beauty and novelty of flying in the stratosphere. As we approached the busy airspace around London, a mini steak sandwich was served along with some crisps. It was impressive to prepare a steak edible without knife and fork on an aircraft. Entertainment is not necessary when flying during the day, but my personal favorite content in 2022 must be the live TV program. As I concluded with the purser just before descent, my very first flight with Etihad was an absolute delight. Prior to my journey, I came in with the expectation that this is an airline on the decline due to its poor investment decisions, but as far as first-class experience goes, I still believe this is a world-class product. While not as ostensibly luxurious as its Dubai counterpart, Etihad does offer an incredible culinary program both in the lounge and on board the flight. Every member of the crew I interacted with on this flight was nothing less than positive, and the crew's knowledge of wines was simply exceptional. Etihad seems to be the airline that offers a high degree of differentiation between its business and first-class product, as this was elucidated back when the carrier introduced its groundbreaking A380, equipped with the residence and the apartment. While I was delighted to have flown this flight, I could not wait to experience Etihad A380, which, with the same level of hospitality as the one I had, would rank it among the pinnacle of commercial aviation. It has been a pleasure, and I can't wait for our next departure. Thank you for watching this Wandering Scholar video.
حاجة التوقيت المحلي إلى 5:51 دقيقة.